You got the job.
Hey, what's up everyone? Paul from Grindhouse Funhouse. You know, as an appreciator of heavily endowed women, I of course knew of the name Chesty Morgan, which is such a fantastic stage name, by the way, for a woman who has the 73-inch bust, which equal to, and I had to look this up, a 78 double F bra size. Wow! In the 1988 edition of the Guinness Movie Facts and Feats book, which apparently was a thing, her bust size was added as the largest on record for a film star. Is that still true today? Let me know in the comments. I bring Chesty Morgan up, who's very much alive, by the way, at 86 years young, because I was in the mood to tackle a series of films. And I recently discovered Doris Wishman's filmography thanks to AGFA and Something Weird's 3-volume set of the films of Doris Wishman. The 3 movies I'm talking about are 1974's Deadly Weapons and Double Agent 73 and 1975's The Immoral Three. So I'll start with Deadly Weapons, followed by Double Agent 73, and end with The Immoral Three in the next 2 videos. So the first thing I want to bring up about Deadly Weapons is that the story doesn't really matter. Everyone who went to see this movie back then and wants to see it now, like me, only checks it out because of her assets. That was the gimmick, the only reason for this movie's existence. Even Doris said as much. And not even 5 seconds into the movie, they already show you her deadly weapons. They don't even tease it out. If that's the only thing you were curious to see, you could have just left the theater right there and there back in 1974 and you had your money's worth. You know, as the breast man, I'll be honest here, they're not that titillating or gets you turned on. There's a kind of big that I quite enjoy, but that is just a bit on the grotesque side. I honestly can't see many people finding this sexy, but Miss Morgan seems to enjoy her sweater puppies and gives them the proper care for enjoyment and hours by caressing them non-stop. She'll soak them up for us for a while, taking a bath for a good 10 minutes while this banger of a theme song plays in the background.
You're a hard-selling woman and I've got to pay for you.
She'll look at herself in the mirror a lot, just propping them up. Ever the crafty woman, Doris never let slip a chance to show Chesty's cleavage. As we then go back to Chesty's vacant stare, it all feels pretty sexless. The only thing interesting she'll do with her breasts is commit boobicide, which I'll get back to. But then she has to do other things besides fondling her massive fun bags. The movie has to have some sort of purpose, an end goal, so let me tell you what the story is about, such as it is. After the mob hits a guy with a compromising list, one of the hoods, Larry, played by Richard Towers, keeps the list for himself to blackmail the people on it. When the boss finds out he's a double-crosser, they send his fellow hoods to kill him, which angers his busty girlfriend Crystal, played by Chesty Morgan, and she decides to take matter into her own hands. She goes after them using the only 2 weapons she has. I mean, I get it. Look at this manly man, such machismo right there in his tidy whities. Wouldn't you cry for him too? Wanting to exact revenge to whoever killed his specimen of a man? I mean, he's such a Prince Charming of a boyfriend.
Larry, stop it. I'm tired.
Come on, baby, give.
Nothing like forced intercourse to get your gal going, am I right? The only reason she knows who the 2 goons who killed her lover are is that she was on the phone with her stud.
Wait a second. There's someone at the door.
When they went to his place and iced him. She's still on the other end of the phone after the deed is done, hearing their entire conversation, making sure for her and us that everything is spelled out on when, where, and what their names are and what one of them looks like in the conversation. She then tries to psych herself up to go to Vegas, well they'll be, and you know, do what needs to be done. And even with a 75 minutes runtime, there's a lot of scenes of hearing her inner thoughts, which by the way, were all dubbed because Doris Wishman always filmed without sound, because also of Chesty's heavy Polish accent.
I must be out of my mind to think of doing anything like this, but I must.
So off to Vegas she goes, track down the hotels those 2 goons stays in, gets hired as a burlesque dancer in one of those hotels, and that's when Chesty Morgan's real life experience comes into play because that was her trade. She went by the stage name Zaza, that's why she's credited that way at the beginning of the movie. It's actually a nightclub owner who suggested she call herself Chesty Morgan. Chesty is hoping one of them will show up at her show, and of course one does. She then takes him up to her room, drugs him, and to harness her superpowers, she raises her arm high up in the air as we hear a thunderous crash of bowling pins as she commits boobicide. That's right, boobicide. And I mean, as a way to go, not a bad one, I will admit. Then she tracks down the other goon played by 70s porn legend Harry Reams, who must have seen this as an easy paycheck, and yet the best actor in the whole thing. She goes back to his room, she drugs him too, and lets her drugs be the sweet end of his life. The faceless mob boss in this whole thing that we see at the beginning, who put the hit on good old Larry after finding out about his treachery, they make it a point to show the scar on his hand. Do you think that's gonna play out at the very end of this movie? You're damn right it does, and it's a reveal you see coming a mile away and makes it a pretty cold-blooded ending, such as it is. For this kind of movie, if executed well, which in this case, So that's the story. Now, what about the acting? I think that's pretty clear by now that Chesty ain't no thespian. I mean, she can't act, she can't talk, she's hiding behind a platinum shag wig and butt-ugly, ill-fitting ruffle wardrobe, and perhaps that was a conscious choice. There's a lot of hesitations in all the scenes she does. It feels like she's overthinking things, if that's possible. She takes too many micro pauses that feels odd, or the editor didn't care where to cut. I mean, she looks and acts like someone just dragged her out of bed. The rest of the cast is like semi-decent. Richard Towers, who plays Larry,
It's a big one, baby.
I've heard that before.
had a few exploitation movie credits under his belt, like The Last House on the Left and Fleshpot on 42nd Street. I don't know why Doris went through all the trouble with this, but there's a guy who plays Chesty's father, who we see at the beginning of the movie. They put him in bad old age makeup instead of, get some crusty old dude to play the part. And Harry Reams is Harry Reams. He does his crazy things. And if he's in your movie, he's gonna bang at least one chick. That's gotta be part of the deal. Something else to talk about is the look of this movie is something else. It's very noticeable how everything is so damn ugly, but like aggressively so. Apartment decor like leopard skin wallpaper with pictures of lions and tigers on top of it to really bring the theme home. Or disgusting couches and shag carpets. I sure as hell wouldn't want to get beat up and my face ended up laying down on it. It's like the absolute worst of 70s fashion and design got mixed together and vomited onto celluloid. Some of the joy you get, at least for me, from watching a movie like this, is watching ineptitude in action. To be fair to the cast, they never received a script. Doris would tell them what to do and say on the spot, while roughly scribbling down what they actually said on a large notepad so that she could overdub all of those lines later. It was done by feel, not so much preparation, and didn't help that Doris and Chesty did not get along. That's why from the 3 pictures deal they had, only 2 was made. There's countless continuity errors, Chesty looking straight into the lens, blurry shots, lingering camera shots of the floor, ashtrays and plants. There's lots of stock footage, the dancing scenes done in Vegas, which Chesty was actually filmed in Doris's living room, intertwined with Vegas crowds, and it all feels seamless. There's artistic choices like, say, a dramatic scene of Chesty crying where her tears run down her breast as it crossfades to a pool. That, my friend, is pure cinema. I could go on, but I'll let you discover all this beautiful artistry by yourself. I will say though, props to Doris Wishman to somehow make a career from all this and took it upon herself to make movies. She started a career in 1957 with nudie cutie movies and roughies, which, if you didn't know, were set in nudist colonies. She made 8 of those and then stepped it up a notch and started to make sexploitation movies. She was still at it till the early 2000s until she passed away in 2002 at the age of 90.
Who has seen a bosom like hers? She was incredible. And that's what made it successful, I guess.
She seemed like a hell of a lady, a trailblazer in every sense of the word, one of the very few women who did exploitation movies during that time. So, do I recommend Deadly Weapons? Yes? In this 75 minutes odyssey of pure revenge and breast fondlings, it's not a boring watch. Sure, everything is tacky and ridiculous, inept at its making, and ugly to look at. It's not good in any way, be it the acting, the writing, the dubbing, all the ings you can think of. It's not sexy enough, which as a sexploitation film, I think it would be its core tenets of being. But it's odd enough that enjoyment can be extracted from it. If the whole point of watching this movie was to see men being suffocated by a giant pair of breasts, then and only then you definitely got what you came in for. So if you want to watch it right now, you can stream Deadly Weapons right here on YouTube. Someone just freshly uploaded it at the time of this review. so I would get on it before it gets flagged. Otherwise, it's on archive.org, or you can do like I did and get the Blu-ray from Vinegar Syndrome. All the links will be available in the description below. So that was my review for Deadly Weapons. Go visit all my socials at Grindhouse Funhouse. How's about you leave a comment and let me know your thoughts on Chesty Morgan's or Hassett's Deadly Weapons, and recommend me other Doris Wishman movies I should set my peepers on. My Double Agent 73 review is coming up next, so go on and click on the link in my beautiful end screen. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll say to you, ciao bye for now.